Let's say we would need to give a practical suggestion to a small producer who wants to export to China. What's the most effective actions they can take?
So for Chinese market, need number one is the price, number two is quality, and then packaging. That's not so easy to enter in the market.
China, for many, is just another export market. But it's where 90% of wineries actually fail because they don't understand how to approach it. Today, we are joined by Jean-Charles Letellier, one of the most recognized Asian wine market experts, to uncover the secrets of this incredible market and actually understand how every European winery can enter it.
One point is very important is to have physical products in China. You have distributors which would like to have your product, but they cannot import. In China, they need to see your face. Even if you don't make any deals, you go there, have a dinner, spend some time. A lot of companies, they don't want to continue with the Chinese market because you have to spend a lot of time.
Just a very quick word before we start. This podcast is sponsored by Dolia. Dolia is a digital platform helping winemakers manage every aspect of their commercial process in just one place and actually save up to 2 days per week on manual operations. You can go check out Dolia at the link in the show notes, and if you're interested, reach out to set up a free demo. Hi Jean-Charles, welcome to Dolia Talks.
Hi, good morning, Giovanni.
So I would like to start from one of your LinkedIn posts that you wrote, where you said that 90% of Western wine brands fail in Asia because they don't understand the rules. And I would be super curious to understand what this actually means and what you mean by understanding the rules of the Asian market.
Okay, when I say the rules, I don't mean regulation only, but I mean business culture, speed, expectation, and discipline. So most Western brands I can see, they think Asia works like Europe, So they think they will put the same storytelling, they will put the same pricing logic, and they will have the same strategy with distributors relationship. And that's the big mistake, of course. So in Asia, the importer is not a reseller. So it's a kind of partner. If you don't adapt your product, your message, or your follow-up, then you disappear completely in Asia. So failure usually comes from the lack of method, not of quality.
And can you maybe walk us through a real case without making names, of course? What typically, let's say, a winery gets wrong when they start exporting to Asia? Maybe make some practical examples from real cases that you saw.
I think Western wineries, they make some big mistakes. So first of all, they come with a plan and they hope that they will make their own plan that they wanted to have at the beginning. They don't want to adapt the price, the packaging, and the format. And they think that it is working like in Europe, so time is money. We need to convince the professional, and if the quality and the prices are okay, then we can go up very quickly. But we need in Asia to take time to build relationship with professionals, especially in China, not only in China, but in each country in Asia. First, building the relationship, it will take a lot of time. Sometimes you will have to go on dinner with your partnership and drink some wine, maybe some alcohol, baijiu in China. So you have to spend time at the beginning, and then when the relationship is built, so you will have more chances to have the business work for the long time.
You said something super interesting. You said you don't change the label. So actually the Western, let's say, labels don't work in Asia. That's what you're saying?
Some of them, for example, I would say for Chinese market, you know that they love a lot of red color, and they have some, due to their culture and history, they would love to have some nice packaging according to what they know. So if you put, for example, for the Chinese New Year in 2026, a nice horse with red color on the label and golden color, you will have more chances to get your importer interested. So what I mean is, when you go to McDonald's, take one burger in Paris, in Roma, or maybe in New York and Hong Kong, it doesn't taste the same aromas. You know that. So you have to, of course, adapt your label, your quality also. In France, that's very difficult for us because they used to make wines for themselves, and if the clients like, it's okay. If they don't like, anyway. But you know that we have to adapt the quality to the client, to the culture. That's very important for them, of course.
I see a large brand might actually quite easily do it, change a bit the branding, change a bit the labels. Do you think that's actually feasible for smaller producers? And did you see some success cases for that?
Yes, yes, I can talk about the Penfold brands from Australian market, for example. So starting from a few years ago, so they decided to build a brand, especially for Chinese market. So they found a very well-known Chinese character in Mandarin. In Chinese, it is said Penfold, and the name translation, it means, wow, very beautiful, very famous. When the Chinese people say that in Chinese, they love a lot. So the name should be very attractive for them, the quality and the brand. So the message I would say to the winery is you need to have a strategy, but also some budget for marketing. It is not so easy to understand at the beginning because they would say, okay, but maybe I need to sell first and then I will spend the marketing. So maybe you can just, for Asia, do the same job at the same time. So marketing and sell at the same time. I think, yes, that's a big budget. But if you want to be more successful, you need to do that. That's very important, especially in China. Not so much in other countries, but in China and maybe, South Korea, they would love to have a specific product for the Asian Chinese New Year on February, maybe on March. So that's a big lesson I should teach to the winery. So please adapt your storytelling, price, label, quality to the market. And if you do some mistakes, that's okay, but you need um, to be better each year. Yes, every year.
So, okay, let's say we would need to give a practical suggestion to a small producer. Let's say we are an agency and like you are doing, and we are speaking to a small Italian producer who wants to export to China. What would you tell him in terms of branding? What's the, let's say, less costly and most effective actions that they can take?
So firstly, I should say that the winery should have a clear export pricing. The pricing is very important, especially in Asia. So for Chinese market, for example, need number one is the price, number two is quality, and then packaging. So when I say that, that's not so easy to enter in the market. So please have a clear export pricing. What I mean is, of course, if you do some small volumes, so you can put high prices, that's normal. But Chinese people, they like to have, okay, if I make 1 container, 2 container, 5 container, 10 container, what should be the price? So you have to have a decreasing prices according to the volume. That's the rule number one. Then you have to have a marketing support. Marketing support is, okay, you have to have your technical sheet in all Mandarin, it's preferred for Chinese market. In English should be okay, but please translate it. It's very easy now with IA to translate in every languages. But if you have already some orders in the market, find a local agency, marketing agency. They will help you to promote your product online. For example, I should say for a Chinese market, they use a lot WeChat, which is the same social media as WhatsApp in Europe, for example. And they are a lot of KOL, so key opinion leaders, that are making some promotion online. So if you want to develop more sales in Asia, find a local marketing agency. They will help you to develop more promotion online. And the best way is to have a little stock on the market. That's not so hard to find a logistic partnership now. For example, you can find in Shanghai, free trade zone area, find a logistic partnership and just send 2-3 pallets of your products. And then when the distributors will buy your product, it will be very easy. So you will just send the contact of your logistic partner and the business will do very quickly. The big problem we have with European wineries is when the clients send an order, we have to prepare it, maybe 1 week, 2 weeks, it's okay, maybe more. But then there is a lot of time during the transportation. So for a container by sea, it will take at least maybe 1 month, 2 months, and then the custom declaration in Asia will take 1 week. Just a little example, I sent one pallet of champagne on October last year, and the Thailand importers just tell me, oh, we just received a few days ago the order. Wow. So 3 months just for one pallet. Well, I can imagine that he ordered a lot of different references, but just to let you know that it takes a lot of time. So if you, maybe at the beginning you can start like this, but maybe in the next 2-3 years, you can just send a few pallets in a logistic partner warehouse, and then it will not cost so many fees. Huh? You can budget maybe 200, 300 euros per month just to have three pallets there, and then very easy to touch the client very quickly, because when a Chinese importer or distributor wants to buy, they want to buy now. They buy now and they want to be delivered in 2 days, 3 days. So we cannot do that when the stock is located in Europe, for example.
In terms of cities and markets, is there some large difference between, for example, you mentioned Shanghai and other cities or certain regions? Or, I mean, what's the best region for exporting European wine?
I think the best region in China for exporting wine should be the south of China, so the Guangdong province, not so far from Hong Kong, because the GDP of this province represents 25% of all GDP of the country. So a lot of people there consume a lot of wine, champagne, and spirits, especially spirits. Shanghai region also, the GDP is quite good. So in this region, you will have a lot of clients. And if you go in the north part of China, it will be more difficult, because northern Chinese consumers, they will like to consume a lot of beers and Chinese alcohol, like baijiu. They are most not likely to drink wine or prosecco or maybe champagne. That's not the habits. So I suggest to make exhibition maybe in Hong Kong or maybe in south part of Asia. Guangzhou is perfect, for example. For the first time, if you want to develop, go there. There are plenty of importers and distributors. They are very professional. You know that Chinese people now, they know a lot of about the wine quality. They know about the prices. So we have to be very professional and efficient, of course. But starting from the south, that's the best key.
And in terms of importers and distributors, I know, for example, in other markets like the Emirates, there are a couple of big importers. In Asia and in China, is it the case, or is it like Europe where there's a lot of smaller importers?
So for Chinese market, for example, so you will have maybe 5, 6 big, very big, famous importers that would make a lot of volumes. But generally, this kind of society, they belongs to the Chinese government. So they can order a lot of volumes, but the payment should be, credits. They will give you assurance credit for 60 days or maybe 2-3 months. So you have to consider that. And you have a lot of small and medium importers. And I think for the first time, it's okay for me to start with them, because most of them, they want to have new products in their portfolio. And you can start with them. And the best way, I don't recommend to give exclusivity for your products. Just find one importer in Guangzhou, and then one importer in Shanghai, one importer in Beijing, and one importer in Chengdu. And then told them, I don't give you the exclusivity, but I give you the exclusivity of your region, of your province. And please do not send my product in Beijing. And that's a very nice strategy, because most of my partners, they will say, oh, every year I have only 2-3 pallets in volume in China. That's not a lot. And I should say, but how many importers do you have? One. I think, yes, you can find maybe 2, 3, 5 partnership in China, and be very transparent with them. If you need to give exclusivity, then you need to set up a volume and big volumes. So do not give the exclusivity for 1 container, 2 containers. That's too small. Maybe starting for 4, 5 containers, and you set very nice prices. You sign a contract for 1 year. If the contract is not good at the end of this year, so you will send a call, and what we can do now. So do we need to stop or continue? Because the big problem we have with Asian countries is that they do not tell you where they are regarding the stock, regarding the sales. So you don't know anything. That's a big problem. So we need to go there every time, but that's a budget to travel, especially now. So I should recommend to just sign 1 year and see how it's going. And at the end of this year, make a point and should we continue on or stop and be very transparent, because they should not be very transparent with you, but you should be very transparent and tell them face by face, we continue or we stop.
And do these distributors have some kind of preference, for example, on regions or countries that they import to the market?
Yes, maybe 10 years ago, 15 years ago, they love a lot of French wine, especially regions from Bordeaux. And the COVID pandemic arrived in 2020 and then the market has completely changed. So now the volume are reducing a lot, but the quality and the pricing are going up. That is to say, I recommend to have entry-level prices just to keep attention of your clients, but always have a premium range just in order to respond to the demand. And now I should say that sparkling wine, white wine, especially dry wine and sweet wine are very, very interesting for the Chinese market now. I should say for the German Riesling or Gewürztraminer, they are very requested in China for this moment. Prosecco are very, very requested because the price and quality is very good. And it's lower in prices than champagne. So yes, white wine, sparkling wines, and if you have no alcoholic product, wine, champagne, spirits, I think that's the new trend of the market. So we need to adapt.
And how does the local market look? I mean, if I, as an Italian producer, export to China, am I competing with other European producers, or are there any strong local producers that are competing with European wines?
You have to be very good at your storytelling at your origin. So for example, if you have a AOC or DOC in Italy, that's your strength. Do not try to copy other countries or just be authentic. So Chinese people, they like authenticity. And talk about your country, talk about your region, talk about what you know, the history. You can talk about Marco Polo because they love a lot. In history, there was a very big president, very famous, which is Charles de Gaulle. So because they decided to build big relationship with China a long time ago. So when I talk about that, they will like a lot. And if Italian winery talk about Marco Polo and history of Italy, they will be very interested in listening your story and your quality. So be competitive in the prices and aggressive. Yeah, very aggressive because the market is still very difficult now. There is a lot of stocks, in the warehouses in Asia, especially in China and Hong Kong. So we have to bring innovation in wine, not so easy in terms of quality, in terms of packaging. We can change the bottles, we can change everything, but we need to bring something new that Chinese people, Chinese companies, they cannot do that. And maybe later we will talk about Chinese wine also because they are making good wine now. And that's a big competition for us. So you have maybe 3, 4 big wine famous producers in China, for example, Changcheng or maybe Changyu, one of these big famous wine producers in China. Usually they used to produce very entry-level quality price product for the Chinese market, selling mass volume on the supermarkets. That was the origin of the Chinese wine, but the quality is not so good. Frankly speaking, when I used to taste this kind of product, we don't like it and Chinese people don't like it. Starting from maybe 5 years ago, some province in China like Ningxia or maybe Shandong province, they are making very good quality wine, Chinese wine, but with European grape variety. Cabernet Sauvignon, Merlot, maybe Chardonnay, Sauvignon Blanc, and they will bring some enologist expert from chemistry in China, and they will ask them how can we make the best wine in China. But what I should say, if today I make a blind tasting with European wines and Chinese wine, the Chinese wines are very good. The quality is amazing. But the ratio quality price is not good. For example, I should say, if you buy a Cabernet Sauvignon from China, you will spend at least one bottle, I should say professional price, without VAT, maybe 10 euros for one bottle, if you want to import that in France, in Europe. But you can have the same quality for about 5 euros, 6 euros in Europe for the same quality price. So they made a lot effort on the quality, but the price is still higher than in Europe. So that's our advantage.
And who's the customer profile of the wine purchaser in China? Is it mainly young people? Is it older people? How does the wine consumer look?
Before the COVID, it was, people, rich people after 40, 50 years old who had a nice job or they have their own company and they want to show up that they can bring European wines in China for the dinner. And this has changed a little bit. Now it's female, Chinese female, young girls. They want to try new wines, especially dry wine, white wines, sparkling wines, fruity, with very nice aromas, not so much acidity, a little bit sweetness, and some of them they use it doing some cocktails. And this kind of people, they depend of the social media, so they will like to see the channels in WeChat or maybe Little Red Book. Little Red Book is one of the biggest social media in China after WeChat. It's kind, of like our Instagram or TikTok in Europe. So you can scroll everything, but you will have some promotion of each product and you can buy it directly. If you see very nice packaging of wine, just you click there, you put your credit card number and you buy it very quickly and you receive it in 2 days. So the new generation, they don't want to consume a lot of volumes, but better quality, and they want to have stock ready in China. I think that's the same in South Korea and Thailand. And the trends are changing very quickly, but new people, they spend a lot of time, using the mobile phone. As we in Europe are spending a lot of time listening some podcasts, some videos there, and they are more likely to buy than we in Europe.
Interesting.
Very interesting. Very interesting.
And how do you mentioned cocktails? How and when is wine consumed in China? Do the consumption moments differ compared to Europe, or is that basically the same?
The consumption of wine, champagne and spirits in Asia, especially in China, is very different from us. So they will likely to buy it and to organize some wine tasting or maybe some wine dinner with their clients. So usually they book a private table, 10, 15 people around the table, and they will bring their product. And in Europe, we like to test. Okay, you test a little bit, you taste, and each time you test a very small volume of wine each time. But when you go to China, they will do the gambe. So the gambe, it's a kind of you will drink in once a time the glass. And that's the kind of culture we need to know. And in South Korea, that's the same. They like to drink the soju in one time. So the consumption is made during the dinner outside the house. Not so many of trade markets. It's on trade market, restaurant, hotel, bars. That is for me the biggest consumption in China because they don't want to drink alone. They want to drink with at least 5, 6, 10 people, and usually suppliers, maybe customers, maybe local governments, and sharing the product together. That's the part of Chinese history and culture.
And you mentioned e-commerce and digital channels for purchasing wine. Of course, restaurants, hotels, and social moments. Do supermarkets play a role in the purchase journey?
Yes, there are a lot of supermarkets in China, different brands, of course, but that's very difficult to enter in this kind of channels because they will ask very low prices with big budgets at the beginning. So you need to spend a lot of budgets just to have the chance to be inside the markets, the supermarkets. So I would suggest that for the beginning, maybe we can start with medium importers working on the on-trade market, coffee, hotels, and bars, and maybe nightclubs. just to give you nice exposition of your brand. And if you want to work with e-commerce, Jingdong or maybe Alibaba and other companies, you need to separate your brand. So please have a brand for your on-trade market, have a brand for off-trade market, and have a brand for e-commerce market. Because the problem of e-commerce is in once you can sell a lot of volumes. That's crazy. Very crazy. But you need to be very careful about the retail price and the professional price because it can directly destroy your brand. I saw many companies in France selling a lot of volumes in China for the e-commerce channels. And after a few months, they saw that the prices were very low online. And so, yes, they were very happy at the beginning because they sold a lot of volumes. But 6 months later, the brand was destroyed because of the price. So if you need to go on the e-commerce market, please find the right partnership and put the retail price very high at the beginning. Because in China, they would be very interesting in see, okay, online, for example, this wine is selling 2,000 RMBs, which is very expensive, huh? For just one bottle. But what they like is, okay, the price is, initial price is that, but when I buy it on promotion, maybe I can buy it, maybe 800 RMBs, one bottle. So if it's, oh, that's an affair, I will purchase it. So that's a big problem of Western companies making deals with e-commerce. So first of all, you have to be very, very, very strict about the retail price. You have to tell this to your partner. And then you have to have a small budget if you want to enter to Jingdong because they will ask you some fees, enter fees, It's not so easy at the beginning.
So it's partners and distributors that take care of all like these channels, WeChat we mentioned, or e-commerce, etc. So there are partners that take care of placing your wine in all these channels.
You can find directly your importers or distributors making that deal, but some of them, they are not connected to them. So I should recommend, in this case, find a local marketing agency that will help you to find the distributors in Jingdong, Alibaba, and so many e-commerce channels, and they will adapt your message to them directly. That's not so difficult to find it now. And local agency in marketing in China, there are plenty of brands, so you can just contact them and tell them the strategy. But you need at least the better way is to have a little bit history, sales history in China, for example. Okay, maybe 1 year you will send 1 container every year. Then the next step, if you want to do 3, 4, 5 containers, okay, find a local marketing agency and tell them the strategy, and they will take care of your social media in China because there is a big ecosystem in China only for social media. We don't know. We are European, we don't know them. Most of them cannot read Mandarin, even cannot speak. So very difficult. Chinese market, it's so complex and so difficult. So we need to have some partnership and of course budget.
And in terms of marketing and communication, of course we spoke about digital media and ads on social media. From what you're saying and from what these people seem to like and to discover wine and to taste the wine, I'm guessing also the physical part plays a role. So what would you say is a good mix of communication channels for market entry in China?
Yes, so one point is very important is to have physical products in China, even in your importer's warehouse or even in your own warehouse, it should be better. But then if you have it, you can directly contact the distributors. What we have to know is importers are different from distributors. Importers, they will import your brand, and mostly they will distribute in China because they have the channel. But you have also only distributors, which are companies, they would like to have your product, but they cannot import directly from the winery. So you need to have a stock, and they will pick your stock maybe every week when they have orders. But the big problem we have is just Chinese distributors are very, very requested. So the competition is very fierce, very hard. So we need to find very well-known distributors in each region and tell them, okay, if you want my brand, please contact directly my partner importer, or please contact my logistic company and you can directly pick up the volume you need. Distributors, at the beginning, they will not buy a lot of volumes. They will try your product. So I should say for the first year, according to the range, according to the price you have, if you are making 5 pallets, maybe more the first year in China, for premium products, it's okay. I should say now, because before, of course, it will be able to sell more. But if you have the right partnership, right importer, distributor, the right channel, the quality is good, the quality and price are very good, and you spend a little bit money on marketing, social media in China, and your sales will grow up very quickly every year. And you have to organize business trips at least once a year there. Or if you cannot, you can send some people, some sales agency. So physical product is not mandatory, but highly recommended for wineries. But I suggest to start just to spend your product at the first order to the nice partnership, and then you can also talk with your importer and ask him, okay, can you help me to do the social media? Can you help me and can make some new contracts and develop together. One time, a Shenzhen importer, so Shenzhen is located not so far from Hong Kong. It is a Silicon Valley in China. One importer said to me once, if you do not come to visit us every year, I will not trust you. And I said, why? You should trust me. It's because a brand should be existent, should be present on the market every time. So you should visit your clients. That's the basics of commerce. But in China, they need to see your face. Even if you don't make any deals, you go there, have a dinner, spend some time drinking some Chinese tea. But this time is very crucial for the next of your relationship and business. That's why a lot of companies, they don't want to continue with Chinese market because you have to spend a lot of time, and you don't have a lot of time. You don't have a lot of budget. That's why I'm helping them to go there. So just a few words about my activity, but I'm just helping wineries to export in Asia, all Asia. And so 3 main activities: representation of the wine exhibition in Asia, commercial tour with producer there, and export helps for 1 year. I will be your commercial for 1 year and help you to find contracts and sales very quickly. So I'm very happy with that. I can speak English and Mandarin fluently. So when I go in China, that's very easy for me to contact with Chinese people. That's not mandatory, but highly recommended. Even if you go in Japan, in South Korea, you speak the language, it's even better. Based in France, but often traveling in Asia to see my clients. And in the wine exhibition, spirit exhibition, you will see your old clients, very important, but you will also identify new partnership, new operators, and that's very important.
From everything you said, it seems to me that even with a partner like you who knows the market, it's difficult to enter this market because you need to know the marketing strategies, you need to review the branding, you need to know people, you need to be there physically. So why do you think it's important for European producers to actually go through all of this and export to Asia compared to maybe other markets like the US or the Emirates or other emerging markets?
I will say 3 advices to the wineries. First, clean your export prices and your technical sheet. So make a specific export prices for Asia, and for Asia, each country of Asia. Second advice is you need to define 3 target markets in Asia: China, Japan, Singapore. That's enough. And then you go first working with these countries. And do not try to work with every country at the same time. Too difficult. And the advice number 3 is to find one strong local partner which has a very strong wine importer license with a very good sales distribution in this country. I should recommend at first to work on trade market just to have good image and good notoriety on the market. So you need, yes, to choose the partners very carefully and to have a very strong positioning of your brand. So I should say, when you go there and to want to develop the market, the importer need to understand very quickly, in one PowerPoint, in one phrase, who you are, what is your product, and what you can bring to them.
And let's say if I'm a European producer, should I prioritize, do you think, compared to other export markets? Should I prioritize Asia? Compare maybe to the US, compare maybe to the Emirates, or someone also export to Africa. So do you think China and Asia should be the top one export market target, or maybe there are other markets to develop first and then go to Asia?
So for me, if you're a European winery, you should first develop your own country and European market. At first, that's very important. Then I should suggest US market, which is one of the biggest markets on the world. Not easy also with the increasing of tax with Mr. Trump president, but you need to go there. And then when you have experience of export, then go to Asia market and starting to diversify your sales distribution in Asia. Because when I'm speaking of Asia, there is also one country I didn't mention. It's India. And India and European Union just signed a new contract that there is a low taxes to import some wine and spirits, especially wine in India. So you will have a lot of opportunities in the Indian market. Very complex. I should say very much more complex than China, but very interesting. So please go in Europe, US, and then Asia at the end. Why? Because Asia will spend you time, money, and you have to be strong at the beginning to go there.
Nice. So I go towards the conclusion of the interview. We have this section which is called Quick Fire. So I will ask you 4 or 5 questions, very quick questions, and I would like to have a very quick answer. So very, very quick exchange. So the first one would be, could you give us a case study, someone that winemakers listening to this podcast can go and look on the internet for a success case on the Asian market?
I should say, for example, Penfold Company from Australia. They know a lot. They adapt their products to the market, price, marketing. That's a successful case story.
So let's say we wake up in January 2036, so 10 years from today. What's happened in general to the wine market and in particular to the Asian market?
So you have to consider that Chinese market is importing less volume but more premium, and you have to be very stronger at the brand positioning. So a lot of companies have already decided to not work with Chinese market at this moment. So there is still a lot of opportunities.
So in 10 years, do you think there will be less producers or more people, or the market will actually become larger?
When I talk to producers, there is only one phrase. They should say, "Oh, China is not my priority." Okay. What's your priority? Maybe Europe and USA. Okay. So when I heard that, I should say, yes, there is still very nice opportunities for companies who are ready and want to start with China.
Nice. Let's say you wake up tomorrow and you received an email telling you inherited a winery. So that should be a winery in France with a lot of history, a lot of budget. Which are the first 3 things you do tomorrow morning?
So the first thing to do is to analyze the sales history, for example, in Asia, if you have it or not. This is the first thing. Second thing is if we need to analyze the technical sheets, so the price, export prices, and we need to optimize this to each market. And then we have to prioritize what countries we need to develop. We cannot develop everything, so please select only 3 countries, for example, China, Japan, South Korea. It could be Singapore, it could be Vietnam or Thailand, and that's enough.
Complete this sentence. The wine market would work much better if it stopped.
If it stops to talking only about ourselves, but talking directly to the clients and thinking about what the client needs.
Let's remove China from Asia. What would be the top 3 markets after China?
I should say Thailand, Vietnam, and maybe India for the
Nice.
next 5-10 years.
Perfect. And the last one, and this is one I asked actually for myself because I'm building my culture. So if you could tell me your favorite wine, actually one from Europe and one from China or Asia.
Because I come from the Champagne region, so I love a lot Champagne, of course. So I love a lot my family brand, which is Champagne Varicefi, which is a small family wine grower in Champagne, which is make a very nice champagne with good quality, and the price is amazing, completely amazing.
And one from Asia?
One from Asia. I should say some spirits from Asia, especially a whiskey from Taiwan, Kavalan. Kavalan whiskey is very famous and the quality is amazing.
Jean-Charles, it was an incredible conversation. Thank you for being on the show.
Thank you very much, Giovanni.